Today is the memorial service for Charlie Kirk, a man who was assassinated simply for daring to have debates with others who held differing opinions. A man who unjustly has been and continues to be purposely lied about and falsely accused of vile and untrue accusations by many on the Democratic left. These deplorable Democratic, socialist, liberal politicians and media outlets who used continual false rhetoric to stir up violent hatred towards him celebrate his death because they think that they silenced someone who exposed their hypocrisy. But in fact, what they actually have done is poked the bear and made it angry. Let's talk about that. For anyone who has actually listened in entirety and in context to the views of Charlie Kirk, it would be impossible for them to believe the unjust lies that Democratic liberal leftists have spoken about him. Yet because the majority of lunatic Democrat leftists don't have the desire to think for themselves, because they don't take the time to investigate the false claims made against him to see if indeed he actually did say the hateful things he was accused of saying, they end up believing every bit of clickbait they come across. This widespread lack of personal integrity in most leftists is exactly what these evil Democratic politicians and media personalities rely on to elicit violence towards those conservatives who are speaking truth and changing opinions. And if by some means you are one of those who are so mindless as to think that these politicians and media personalities aren't purposely using their knowledge of how most Democrat leftists will only believe the edited clips promoted to them, then perhaps you really need to find the self-respect to investigate in true depth what it is that Charlie Kirk actually said about things such as race, homosexuality, the Civil Rights Act, etc. With AI, it is simply too easy to do now. Just ask ChatGPT, did Charlie Kirk say that all black women were too dumb to think for themselves? Did Charlie Kirk endorse racism? You'll find everything you need to discover the truth. Yet because of all this, because of the ongoing ignorant vitriol and violence of the Democratic left, capped off by the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk, conservatives have decided that enough is enough. For far too long, conservatives have tolerated the nonsense of gender identity politics and pronouns, of the idiotic socialist policies of open borders and soft on crime legislation, of protecting criminal illegal aliens from deportation, to everything else from mass destructive riots to assassinations. The examples of how countless conservatives are now fighting back by exposing those who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination, and by how effectively boycotting businesses and persons who advocate for these idiotic policies are effectively taking place. These leftist lunatics should worry because conservatives are done taking their crap. Let's look at how not just the U.S., but the world is demonstrating that they are done with the liberal nonsense we've all had to bear over the last 15 or so years. These are countries that have also decided that the liberal left's assassination of Charlie Kirk is the straw that broke the camel's back for them as well. This is London, Germany, Ireland, Korea, and Australia, just to name a few who are fighting back against the harmful effects of these liberal socialist policies. Today, in Glendale, Arizona, where the Charlie Kirk Memorial has taken place, people have been lining up since early in the morning to attend. And mind you, that the memorial isn't scheduled to begin until 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Take a look at this video from Turning Point, Australia, about the crowd gathered at 4 a.m. this morning in Arizona. It clearly reveals that conservatives are done with the hate from the left.
God bless America.
The memorial is taking place at the Cardinal State Farm Stadium, a 63,400-seat football stadium, which can be expanded to seat just over 72,000 people. Yet, according to CNN, police expect a crowd of 100,000. So here's the point. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because everyone on the Democratic Socialist left hated the fact that he spoke the truth and was changing the minds of many of the youth indoctrinated by the left's takeover of countless college campuses. You see, they know that one of the reasons Donald Trump won the 2024 election was because he had historic gains in the young voter category. Liberals couldn't have that because they know that these young voters are the future of which party wins elections. And as they have no policy to be elected on, or common sense to actually lead the country with, they have to keep their constituents blind, deaf, and dumb. Charlie Kirk challenging that made him enemy number one on their list, which is why they had such vitriol towards him. Now, I don't believe that his death was so much about him being Charlie Kirk. I personally believe that it was about him being effective in leading others into truth. That very thing which Democratic, evil, lying politicians and leftist media fear more than anything else. Charlie Kirk has become the symbol of conservatives saying enough tolerance for the nonsense of democratic liberalism and of the rising up to fight for the foundation of that which America was both built upon and thrived under. I am sure that this is the last thing these lying liberal politicians and media outlets wanted. But because of their taking out this good man, husband, and father, the time of conservative tolerance has ended. The Charlie Kirk message to restore the very things that made America great in faith, patriotism, and family, those things which the liberal left have always attempted to destroy, will now be voiced on every corner of every street in America. This movement to turn America into everything contrary to what it is will no longer go unresisted. The assassination of Charlie Kirk has motivated millions around the world to rise up and fight for what is right, and liberals should have no doubt that this is only the beginning. Allow me to end by acknowledging that I know my words in this video have been sharp and passionate. It's just that having seen the violence and sheer nonsense of that which has been going on in our country because of the utter liberal foolishness of things like the denial of scientific fact, or of the endless lies and disinformation that has been permitted to go unchallenged by politicians and media outlets, I am just over it and want to see it end. How hard should it be for our country as a whole to simply embrace common sense and truth through which we all can agree to a national mindset of that which is good and moral so the nonsense could stop? Well, unfortunately, being a realist, I understand that there will always be evil people who will always be present and cause chaos and harm as they attempt to enrich themselves in whatever way they can. And because of how I see that more and more of these evil people are being voted into positions of power, I know that we will never reach consensus as a country ever again. So, those are my thoughts. As always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Please don't forget that if you enjoyed this video to hit that like button, as that is very helpful to me. And of course, don't forget to hit that notification bell, as that will ensure that you will never miss a new video. For those of you who have already subscribed, thank you so very much for your kind support. And if you haven't subscribed, it would be a great help for me to grow the channel if you would just take a quick second and hit that subscribe button. Well, that's it again for me today. As usual, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to listen, and may God bless you and yours. Until next time.